strong in the first one. Garth Tander, a pretty impressive performance in that second session. Almost the quickest time of the day. Here's our track map, thanks to Virgin Australia. We're at the Gold Coast. What a great place to race for us this weekend for our 13th of 15 events in the Virgin Australia Supercars Championship. Some of these records are a bit furry because practice record was achieved by David Reynolds back in 2017, but lap records and qualifying records here have often been interrupted by the fact that the tyre bundles can be moved around. That tends to change the game here a little bit year on year. So this racetrack, as you heard the team describing very accurately before, it's got everything for a street circuit. Big concrete walls everywhere, very high curbs. We've got a whole range of different surfaces, and it makes the whole thing so entertaining to watch because the cars are at their grip limit constantly. They're flying through the air, and the drivers have to be ultra skillful to be able to understand where they're going to land, especially when they get up here into this complex at turns 7, 8 and 9. Fly over the top of the curbs, and just that, in fact it's even depicted in the graphic, just that little bit of concrete fencing that juts out to the right has a big impact on how they throw the cars through there, because basically you've got to get out the other side and not end up wiping on the wall. Heading up into all this second gear stuff through 11, 12, 13 and into the final complex, which just goes on forever. And the right rear tyre is one of the things that we've not talked about today. It gets a fair punish around here, so just under 7 seconds of turning to the left through the last complex, which means that the right rear tyre works really hard. Here's our sectors. Sector 1 in yellow gets you to just out of the hairpin down at turn 4. The middle sector 2 takes you from exit of turn 4 down to the approach to turn number 12 in the left-hander into Sarisia Avenue, and then that final complex. Now, what is interesting, much longer shadows out there now. If you watch the first couple of sessions today, we were talking around 27, 28 degrees ambient. But just had a look a few moments ago, and they're saying it's surface paradise at the moment, just on 23 degrees. So it has cooled out. When Mark and I were just having a look at the conditions here about, excuse me, 30 to 45 minutes ago, we were suggesting pretty breezy from the northeast, and that looks like it may have even picked up. So Mark's back in the commentary box, which is good because I managed to blow out my throat at exactly the wrong point in time prior to the start of this session. But beautiful place to race. We've already seen some very, very cool sessions today and some great speed. I'm looking forward to this one because this will be a full quali rehearsal, because the next time we see the cars tomorrow, I think it's about 9:40 in the morning, it'll be for Armour All qualifying. So this is critical now to make sure everything's just right.
100%. And we love it when they throw tyres at these cars, because the aggression and the way that you have to attack this racetrack, we've been calling it a bull ring, and that little zone there through that fast beat chicane is exactly that. And one of the things that you've always got to do here is have a real level of confidence in the grip level when you turn the car up the corner, and you've got to have a level of confidence that you're at one with the car at this sort of circuit. The only similarity between here and Bathurst is the level of commitment, and it's so different from where we've been, but everything is there to trip you up. Manhole covers, painted lines, crowning of the road, big curves. It's a very, very wild racetrack with the border of big concrete barriers. Can't make a mistake without having a fairly large shunt.
Up at the northern end of the circuit now, fully in shade in the run through to, this is 12, second gear, 13 for Chaz Mostert. A bit of light and shade in the run to the final corner. And an interesting thing for me, Mark, you look for lap times. They don't exist at the moment because everybody's done an out lap and they're now starting on their flying lap. And we're already 3 minutes burned into a 30-minute session. And the reason why I make that point is we talk about it being 30 minutes, but you subtract the in and out laps. Yep. Stationary for some adjustments and a quick data offload and some discussion. Meaningful laps are few and far between. So this is going to be super critical to be able to try and get together 3, 4, 5 decent laps here, maybe make one good change and get a read on what you want as a qualifying car tomorrow. But be careful, because the conditions at the moment are going to be vastly different to the way in which they qualify in the morning.
Carl Cox, very exciting to have you here at the Gold Coast 600. Actually, we're just getting told told to move out of the way because the car's about to come in. So we don't want to get you hit by the car.
Yeah, definitely not.
But this is very exciting to have you here, and you're actually on the decks playing tonight. That is very cool.
Yeah, I can't wait to actually, it's been a long time coming. I've actually been able to, merge the two passions together, music and race cars. I mean, for me, to be able to do that and to play as well is absolutely amazing. I can't wait.
You are a big motorsport fan. I saw as the cars were taking off, you were taking selfies, you're taking photos. You're pretty excited to be here. Yeah,
the cars are the stars, at the end of the day. And me now being involved in, one of the cars there, which is, I think for me, I was never thinking in my lifetime that I'll ever be able to get this close to the cars in such a way. But it's a big difference about being here and watching it. You have to be here and really feel the energy of these cars and to see how these guys actually drive them in such a way. It's like nothing like it. You really need to feel the energy of what these cars actually really feel like, and that's why I'm here. Apart from DJing, I really like to see these cars, at full tilt and hearing them at full tilt.
Talking about feeling the energy, what can the fans expect tonight that they're going to have a party from you?
Yeah, I'm just coming off being in Europe for the last 6 months and having an amazing time in Europe and playing everywhere, as you can imagine. And now coming back home, as far as I'm concerned, but I live in Melbourne. I'm ready to absolutely rock and roll.
Well, our General Manager of Television, Nathan Prendergast, is a huge fan. I'm sure he'll be out there partying with you tonight. Thanks very much.
Yeah, I'm sure he's going to be down at the front with his hands in the air. You can tell him, come on, Coxie, turn it up.
Thanks so much. Enjoy.
Thank you.
We've got some very special guests here this weekend, and great to have Carl here. Club 600 tonight. You'll be performing. There'll be a lot of people looking forward to that. We've got 24.5 minutes remaining in this session, and Jamie's just done the fastest time we've seen all day. So he's done a 1 minute 10.3, and that improves on his 10.6 in practice one and the 10.66 that Garth Tander did. James Moffat is driving with Chaz Mostert, who's got a curb hop.
He's done the same time as Jamie, basically. So a 10.31 and a 10.31. So Whincup and Mostert, basically the same time, 49 10,000ths of a second different. Here's Courtney. Whoa! That probably hit a little bit harder than he would have liked. Yeah, so it was right up on two wheels. Is it Jack Perkins, is it? Sorry, I thought it was James on board. So Jack just caught too much of the turn two curb. It flew in the air and used too much of the exit.
Now, whilst we were just looking at the replay, Scott Pye in the other of the winning appliances Mobil 1 racing cars for Walkinshaw moved up into third. So a 1 minute 10.7. There he is on screen at the hairpin, just coming through the next time intermediate. David Reynolds is on a very good lap as well. Now, David's done the best time in the first sector. What's interesting from what I thought in the first session today, when the primary drivers were mostly in the car, there were not a lot of curb strikes and shortcutting. In this session, Mark, it's lighting up everywhere. They're all exploiting the limits, and that's all about them rehearsing for tomorrow, but they're going to have to be very careful because you take your best lap time away if you do this in qualifying.
Exactly. So Perkins is in the car, Muscat is in the car, and Jonathan Webb. So of all of the drivers, there's only 3 co-drivers currently on board. There's the damage next to the appliance online sign down the side of James Courtney and Jack Perkins' car. And as I said, that would have hit a bit harder than he would have liked because it's actually made contact pretty much from the centre of the car onwards. And that scuff mark. And it's creased the door handle because the door has been forced into that tyre bundle, so that the door handle's creased that door. That's what popped the door open on Scott McLaughlin's car earlier today. If you weren't with us, he did it very early, right the left-hand side down that tyre bundle, and it actually opened the left-hand side door. So interesting level of commitment that's required at this place. We talk about it all the time. And it's hard to know where exactly the cars are going to land after you've made the car stop sufficiently for turn one going left, and then when you flick it to the right, the amount of yaw that the car has and then where the car's positioned over the inside curb, you're almost predicting where the car's going to finish up. We look at Brody Kostecki in one of our wildcard entries.
So there are 50 drivers in total this weekend, 25 entries. Remember, we had the wild cards from Canada and the US at Bathurst a couple of weeks ago, which bumped the entry up by one. They're not with us this weekend, but these guys were at Bathurst and had a drama with the cool suit mechanism in the car right at the very start of the race, and then subsequently damaged later in the day. So there was a huge amount of work in the workshop up here on the Gold Coast just to be able to present this car in these beautiful colours of Boost Mobile once again. And had a look at the car this morning and spoke to the crew in there, and that was a huge effort to turn around that vehicle and get it back in shape for this weekend, understanding that they don't have anything like the resources of the major teams that play the game week in and week out. So that was a mighty performance for them to be able to do that. Got a heap of people back in pit lane, which they looked like they were queuing up in a race when we took that overhead shot before heading back into the lane. But there's a lot more people that are getting a lot more adventurous earlier in the game here as they try and understand and exploit the limits. Van Gisbergen's on a very good lap here. So Whincup is the fastest on a 10.3. Mostert's on a 10.3. Pye's done a 10.7. Will Davison's on a 10.7. And Shane now gets into the game. So 10.5 for him.
So with Greg, that car 17 issue, just have a look at this one. This was earlier in the day. Scott McLaughlin made contact with exactly that sign there. So this is very early on, and then bang, he wipes it down the "It's live" sign. And have a look at the door opening. So if this happened in the race, the repercussions are massive. You've got to come in, you've got to fix that. So it grabbed the door handle as a consequence of wiping the left-hand side down that wall and dislodged the door.
So you have to be on your toes as a crew and as a team in total terms at this event for all of the unforeseens. And so I'm sure the team in the pit lane will cover this off at some stage, but they've all got slide hammers and pre-prepared shadow boards with all of the tools on there ready to go. Lots of 100-mile-an-hour tape to be able to just do things on the run and recover quickly from situations that are sometimes not overly technical but can really bring you to a grinding halt, like a door latch, like a window. You know, we've seen doors jammed here and all sorts of things over the years. Oh, including a pretty wild moment again for car number 22. This time, though, it's James Courtney who's back in the car. So we saw James earlier in the day on the replays that we were studying earlier, having wild moments on the run into turn one. So there's a very committed run in there. We've got just under 19 minutes remaining, our final practice session of the day. Races 26 and 7.
There's
water on the road from where they've whacked the tyres.
So dangerous.
Flag. We seem to have some water on the track at the exit of turn 3.
That is so dangerous.
So the water will be in the tyres, and I presume, or maybe it's some other issue actually. No, it's further down the road, so I might have to eat my words on that. But you've heard the CAM's race director Tim Schenken call red flag as they get to the bottom of this. That's a lot of water.
This is something that's actually happening outside of the racetrack, and the water's flowing in under from that drain. There's actually a storm water drain right there, and it's flowing out from that zone.
Okay, so it's not what I thought. Often what happens is the tyre bundles can carry water if you get a bit of overnight rain. But that was the reason why James Courtney had it all lit up, and he just taken the car again back from Jack Perkins, who himself had a little moment. But that's actually going to be an ice cream headache to resolve, because that's a pile of water down there and it's running. There's a lot of units and buildings just in behind that fence.
That's a lot of water.
And it's actually very tight in that area. I know you've been involved in a lot of the consultation around the track construction and safety here over the years, but there's very little space in behind that particular wall, which is why the circuit's configured like it is there.
Yeah, so we moved that. When we shortened the racetrack, we moved that wall about 600 mil further towards the apartments.
You didn't bust a pipe while you were doing it, did you?
But possibly. But there's definitely behind there, that is a serious amount of water. And we've already made the point that it's wild enough without that drain overflowing. Have a look at this. As soon as you touch this water, it'll make the car burst into wheel spin.
Well, you can end up whacking that outside wall, which James very nearly did. So car 7 on the replay, Andre Heimgartner's driving that car at the moment. It's the best placed of the Nissans and in 10th position, but it's left a pile of standing water there. So it is our opportunity to do what we frequently do in these circumstances, to say thanks to all of the volunteers that make up our championship events. A huge number of people in administration and corner workers, flag marshals, safety intervention, fire marshals, whole pile of people. So we really deeply appreciate the efforts. Maybe that's the culprit. Let's go to Andrew for a bit of an update from the lane.
Neil, I thought I'd grab one of those tool repair kits that you mentioned before. So every single team up this pit lane will have one of these. It is on wheels and you can move it in and out of the garage. So a couple of rules around repairing cars within the pit lane, and one of them is you cannot have an item that's plugged in to power. So everything is electric. You can see an electric grinder down there, drill, and probably my favourite out of the repair kit would be this thing here. Anything that's really damaged can be fixed with a really, really big hammer. So this place with big concrete walls, I reckon one of these things will get used a bit this weekend.
I reckon you're right. Thanks, Andrew. Yeah, the knockometer works a treat.
You're pretty good with those, aren't you?
Yeah. Finely crafted tool for some of the great workmanship. But and it's a good point, though, because sometimes some of the things that are required are totally unorthodox. That was a bit unorthodox too, wasn't it? Unfortunately for Gary Jacobson and also for Jamie Whincup. So the radios would have lit up when everybody experienced this. We caught that one live at the time when we saw James Courtney arrive on the scene. And I'm sure that there was a corresponding button push on the steering wheel when they saw that. So that's the reason for our red flag. We've got 18 minutes and 41 seconds remaining in the session. It's going to take a moment to just sort this out. We believe that it's something to do with this pipe that's running in there. You can see just how tight it is to the garden, just off the edge of the road. And supercar officials and event officials are on the job there to try and understand what's going on. We'll get on top of it and hopefully get the balance of this session done. Interesting to look at the times, because this is a chunk of speed that's been made this afternoon, which was the suggestion at the top of the session, with more shadow on the racetrack and a little bit cooler. Hey, Chaz. So 10.3 for Jamie, 10.3 for Chaz. Yeah. Hey, James. Yep. Yeah, we're on it. It's wet. Yeah. Use some of that skill. I'm sure you'll sort it, mate. And then Van Gisbergen third, then Pye, then Davison, then Reynolds, then Coulthard, then Waters, and then Courtney and Heimgartner. That's the top 10.
So we've seen most things around this mad game, but I've never seen from either a building site or something else on course where the water runs from outside of the racetrack through under our barriers into the storm water drain there and overflows it. That's a lot of water.
Well, the normal culprit for this is water inside the tyres, which we have seen.
Yeah.
But so I got that wrong. It was another 50 metres down the road. In the background, I can hear Tim Schenken saying that I think he said we found the source of the water. Now we've just got to, and there is the scene from Cam's race control. We've just got to get the standing water away and continue to sweep it. Let's get back into the lane for a further update.
Jack Perkins just did a couple of laps there at the beginning of that session. Did you notice anything on the track when you were out there, or has that just happened since you got out of the car?
I'd love to say, because I actually tagged the mirror there, so I was trying to blame the water, but they reckon it wasn't there then. So I don't know, must have just happened at the end there, because James still did a pretty good time, and then the next lap he was crossed up through there. So
yeah, we might just get his version of events there. JC, did that get your attention there, mate, for going through turn 1, 2, 3 there?
Yeah, I couldn't work out what happened, mate. I couldn't really see the water because of the glare at that point, and just barked up, it went sideways, so I grabbed a handful of the wheel and hung on.
It was pretty entertaining for us too, because a bunch of cars went through in front of you, did exactly the same thing. Hey, just give us a rundown on how things are tracking along for you.
Yeah, it's good. Jack just tried ripping the side out of it, so we're happy that we're still able to compete. But no, it's just chipping away, mate. We just went there. It's my first run this afternoon. Jack started the session, so got our little program, and we'll just keep chipping away, and hopefully they can sort out this water issue and we can press on.
It's good to go now, mate. Good luck.
Cheers.
Pretty good start for proceedings for James Courtney as well. So fourth in practice one earlier in the day, having been a winner here with Jack in 2015. And for Jack Perkins himself in his dedicated session, he ended up being fifth fastest. And I've been informed that they've found the source of the flow. It's now been cut off, and now we're just dealing with the standing water that's been swept away, and it won't take too long with 23 odd degrees out there at the moment to cool it off, but to dry it off. But the point will be that the early explorers out there will be pioneers, and there'll be a bit of risk in that. So I'd be probably a little bit inclined to just let a few others get those wheel tracks sorted before I went through there fully committed.
Totally. Yeah, it's a trap. Alistair McVeigh there talking to Dave, and that's Dave there going, no, I'm not going now.
Yeah.
No, Al.
You go out.
Yeah.
No, you go out.
Yeah, your turn.
Jamie, you provided us some pretty spectacular shots there on the rack stops coming off the curbs at the chicane. Just talk us through, no read on that the water was there the previous lap.
Yeah, no, crazy stuff. I think someone's emptied the bath and it's ended up on the track. Yeah, I come round and all of a sudden the track was wet. It was all out of control. So it was only last week that that we're in the fence from something unlucky, you know. So yeah, it almost happened again, but luckily safe.
We'll let you go here. They're fitting up. Thanks.
Got a margin of 4 1,000ths of a second over Chaz Mostert at the moment. And that's back in the cockpit of car number 22, the Mobil 1 car. So you can see the sort of information the drivers are getting as well. We've got the tablet with all the data on there, and there was a computer into the right. So they offload information. The reason why they're waving, by the way, is that deeper in their garages. Yeah, thanks, mate. So actually, a couple of interesting things. The thing that you can see on the top right has got the weird spikes on it. Use your hand modelling further to the right, mate. Gives us a bit of an idea, gives the team an idea of where everybody is on the track. It's the tracking system that provides them with the information about how they play their strategy in the race. So that little circular thing that you may not have typically seen. Most people are aware of the timing and data, but that one is a bit unique.
And the rest of the tablet there was on microsectors.
Yeah.
So that basically the teams break the circuit up. We've got 3 sectors. The teams break them up into a dozen. And when you go through each of those microsectors, you're trying to get some indication of what your car is like versus the competition in all the different areas. And often, this is a bit of a weird track because you can often be fast on the northern end or you can be fast on the southern end. And there's a difference in terms of the way the car flows and puts their power down and how they stop in those respective zones. So the microsectors are used comprehensively by the engineers and the drivers to determine the relative performance.
So the reason why we're getting all the hand modelling and showing off is that televisions are deeper in the garage and the cars are facing the TV so they can see it. There's another dead mirror down there. Won't take long for that water to dry up because the operating temperature of the tyres is up around the 90 to 100 degrees C, so a fair bit of warmth, but it'll take a few tours before the field gets through there where you can safely commit, and it'll hurt the lap times for a little while. Mostert, Pye, Davison, Courtney, Di Pasquale, still all in the garages, but more and more people are venturing out all the time. Lee Holdsworth just popped up into 5th position, so for him to make lap speed must be pretty decent. He's done a 10.7 out there.
Yeah.
And his first sector is only 3/10 away from David Reynolds' best. So it tells you that the track's cleaning up quickly.
Then Gisbergen now goes to the top of the 10.2. So the first sector for him was only 1.5 tenths away from Reynolds. So 20.6 plays at 20.5. So that's a good lap time. 10.22 for Van Gisbergen, a 10.31 for Whincup, a 10.31 for Mostert. Start to show itself. 14.5 minutes remaining. We definitely have proper rehearsals later in this session.
McLaughlin's on a very good lap, by the way. He's down in 18th at the moment. His first sector's better than anything else we've seen. It's a 20.4. I saw Macaulay Jones wandering up at turn 11 into the runoff area earlier as well, which we didn't report. Jumping on board now with Van Gisbergen, and this gives you an idea of the challenge at turns 12 and 13 with that light that comes into the screen into that final section. Good times for him at the moment as well. So his 2 first sectors are not the best, but the cum is. So his cumulative lap may even end up being a little bit better.
McLaughlin's lap time is going to be very good. So
that was a good lap, considering he took the bite out of the tyres, Mark. He did a 10.47. That lap.
Second lap, yeah.
Yeah, second lap for Van Gisbergen. And McLaughlin didn't get a good run in the middle sector then. In fact, he lost a bit of time in both. But his first sector was mega, but he did a 10.3, so there's a heap of people in that club. He's not gone up into 4th. Some pretty interesting career stats you can see on the left-hand side of the screen there. And what's interesting about it is have a look at the total number of races versus the total number of pole positions. That's a heck of a conversion. So is that, converting it into an aircraft.
And that will have hurt. That's the time. That's where the mistake was. So we got too much curb going to the right, which made him too wide, and then the final part of the chicane too tight. And then he had to come out of the throttle, and that was the reason for the Sector 2 time being so far away from his best. And Van Gisbergen currently still fastest with a 10.22.
Which probably suggests that if he gets it together cleanly, he'd be somewhere around where Shane is.
Yeah.
So there was at least a tenth or two lost in that sector across the curving at 7, 8 and 9. So Shane's on a 10.2. Scott just did a 10.38. Scott Pye showing that speed buoyancy again, isn't he? He's back up into 5th position in car 2 on screen.
Car looks quite good, doesn't it? It's flowing very nicely.
So what have we got happening in hop and cut land, which is a unique universe? And
can you just explain that?
Well, you get curb hops on the computer timing and shortcuts, therefore. So I'm just looking, it's a pretty hefty list, isn't it? Like it's 2/3 of the field on both those things.
Yeah.
Well, I won't go through everybody, but there's a lot of people.
Yeah, exactly.
There are more that have done it than haven't, put it that way.
Is there anyone that hasn't? Yeah, oh, there's a couple. Will Davison.
Yeah, Scott Pye.
Yeah.
B1, B2.
Gardner.
Yeah, 3, I think, that we can find that have actually got complete clean skin, that have not had a shortcut or gone straight ahead. And interestingly, all of the key players in the top 4 positions, Van Giz, Whincup, Mostert and McLaughlin, they've all had hops. So Shane's got 1, Jamie's got 1, Chaz has got 3, and Scotty's got a couple. And this is part of the ploy anyway, it's no big deal, but what they're doing is they're trying to find out what they can exploit, what they can get away with, because it becomes incredibly important tomorrow.
And Todd Hazelwood is currently sitting in 15th position, but in the garage at the moment, they've got a throttle position sensor failure, so just fixing that one for Todd Hazelwood.
Thanks, Rihanna. Rihanna Crean, Andrew Jones, Mark Larkham, Greg Murphy, all helping us from pit lane. There's a lot of activity going on. Remember that this is a place that bites. That's another hit for James Courtney. I don't know how many times now that they've given the side of that car a rub on the fence, and that was coming out at turn 13. That's actually been resurfaced in that zone. Now we picked up with Fabian Coulthard there. He actually improved his time on that previous lap with a 10.54. He might even be slightly up on that on this lap for the second lap. What about this for a slide? Right out sideways. Does he stay off the fence? It's probably going to help him straighten up. Gary Jacobson, nice car control. In fact, Dean Fiore did a really good job. Dean Fiore was a second faster in the co-driver session than what Gary was in the earlier session today. Now, maybe they had different tyres, but any time that the co-driver can be faster than the primary driver, he did a very good job. Heimgartner now is on a pretty good lap. In fact, Heimgartner's done the best sector 2, so the middle sector of this lap, than anybody so far.
This is going to be good if he can keep this momentum going. This was what we saw at Bathurst a couple of weeks ago. Great pace from this car and driver combination. Heimgartner now moves into the top 10, so he's up 7 spots into 6th on a 10.5. Fabian Coulthard on screen here. And he's done personal best in sectors 1 and 2, but it's equaling the best that we've seen to the second time intermediate. The cumulative time is 44.2, so that's faster than we've seen from anybody else.
No room. Did you see how close that was coming out of 13? There was absolutely not a millimetre between the left-hand side of the Mustang and the fence coming out of there. He comes up just a little bit, a 10.38. I reckon that might even be his 3rd lap. That's an outstanding effort if it is, because if that's his 3rd lap, I reckon it's his 3rd or 2nd lap. He's a long way.
I didn't get my last time.
What's this? So I picked up on this. We've been talking about it all year, limiting the droop or the rebound travel of the car. Have a look at the right-hand rear wheel. Right off the ground.
Go-kart.
Yep. So they're purposely reducing the open length, or finding another way to reduce the amount of droop that the car has. So how much, if you put it up in the air and the air jacks, how far the rear wheels come down. They're purposely doing that because they've got a lock diff in these cars. That means that we call them a spool, which means that both rear wheels do the same speed. So they effectively try to unweight the inside rear wheel to help the car turn in, and that's another technique to get that done dynamically.
Turn 11, McLaughlin, and his first sector split the best we've seen, which is now an echo of what we saw earlier on. And he's actually got a yellow, so he's managed to have an awkward trip through the curb. That's the second time now that he's had laps that have got off to a promising start that have not been able to be fulfilled. So our focus moves off into some other people because McLaughlin will have to recycle. He's only got 7 odd minutes and try and get his lap going again. Depends on where he's at with the tyres. So there'll be a big happy hour phase here as everybody gets into their full rehearsal mode. So Mostert is third on a 10-3, but Chaz has got a lot of hops. He's got 5 to his name. That'll be a problem.
And just on Scott McLaughlin there, boys, we were just watching and he got that curb strike. He was on a used set of tyres. It was a second set that they put on for that run. But he has a green set sitting here now that I'm sure they'll just come in and put on. Fabian Coulthard leaving on a green set. David Reynolds on one right now out there on the track. And there's new tyres going on everywhere.
Thanks, Greg Murphy. If the temperature and the wind conditions and everything else are just right grip-wise, we might get into better speed than we've ever seen before, Mark. So practice record, which we saw, we put the graphic up at the top of the session, was Whincup on a 9.9. People are doing 10.2s. Waters is on a very good lap at the moment as well. If they all start rolling out green Dunlop soft tyres, we might even see the stopwatch melting 9.
If you put all the best sectors together right now, it's a 9.83.
So have a look at this for Cam Waters, because this might be a delivery on that promise in the Monster Energy Ford Mustang. He's 8th at the moment. His mid-sector very good at a 23.5, and he gets into the 9s. So he's done a 1 minute 9.9534 from Reynolds on a 10.1. It's just over a 1/10 of a second between those two. So a Mustang and a Commodore 1 and 2. And straight away, David gets a curb hop. He's up to 4. McLaughlin's got 4 going. So Waters, Reynolds, Van Gisbergen, Whincup, Mostert, McLaughlin, Pye, Coulthard, Heimgarten and Davis, and that's our 10. 5.5 minutes remaining. Rick Kelly at turn 11.
Wasn't much margin there either for Rick. It was right out to the fence. Gathered it up. That was where Fabian gave the car that little run down the Coates Hire fence at turn 13. So who have we got now? There's a lot of cars come back in. So Van Gisbergen, Whincup, Mostert, McLaughlin, Pye, Heimgartner, Davison, Holdsworth, Percat, they're all in.
Check this out. So another very aggressive hit across the tyre bundle on the apex of 8. So that thing was well airborne. New livery this weekend, Castrol Edge on Rick's car number 15. And this is Anton De Pasquale's brand new car. And he's aborted this one, so he's had to give it away here and actually turn it in, so turn it into a motocross bike rather than try and get around the corner. So there's a point sometimes where you just need to sacrifice and go, you know what, I'm not going to be able to achieve that. So that's probably a pretty good decision. Mark was saying earlier in the call today that you can almost guarantee when you've got a brand new car that you will scratch it. That one, in fact, Barry Ryan showed me a photo early in the day of that car, which was literally a bare caged shell, and then the men and women at Erebus have turned that into a pristine racing car for this weekend, and a monumental effort. Again, there's been a staggering amount of work done between Bathurst and this weekend. Car 14, actually, on the topic of work, they had a fair bit of work to do to that after the second session incident where Luff and Walsh got together up at turn 12 in the hit him or did he hit him or didn't he hit him gate.
Stop.
So hopefully they've got that thing back up and performing to Tim's satisfaction. Now, did he just give that a wipe then? If he didn't, it was very, very close. He's down in 20th, and he's triggered the curb strike down there as well. Did he hit it? So Waters is the only driver in the 9s at the moment, 9.9, tiny margin over Reynolds and Van Gisbergen. So who else is going to go out, and what rubber have they got to be able to pull together some numbers here? This is really a full-blown qualifying rehearsal. Next time the cars are out on the racetrack, it's Armour All qualifying. That's first thing in the morning. In different conditions again. So we've seen a couple of effectively false starts for McLaughlin trying to get his lap together. Nick Percat just had one as well, where he just hasn't been able to stitch together the middle sector of this racetrack. So
he got caught again. Again.
Wow. Okay, so this is becoming an issue for him. He can't. So get some space here. 2.5 minutes or just inside it remaining. So he's just got to slow it all down here. Too hungry.
Gee, there's a lot of them, but
Edsel Ford watching with Dick Johnson. He's come down from Detroit, arrived yesterday, and is deeply affectionate when it comes to motor racing and talks about the company's commitment and importance of motor racing and their motor racing programs worldwide. So it's great to have him here this weekend as a special guest. So now we're coming up to a zone where McLaughlin's going to have no more chances. He's probably well and truly taken the edge out of these tyres. So what's his first sector look like? He's actually just done the best we've seen. So 20.39, he's still got some grip, but will he have it when he gets to this next critical bit? It's when he gets up here into 7, 8, 9 and 10 where it's all been coming undone. And again, he's super aggressive there. And got through. He got through this time. So this time, no illegality with where the car was positioned. And we're about to get a reading on the mid sector now. He crosses the marker at timing intermediate 2. And he's about 1/10.5 to 2/10 away from the best number we've seen from Waters. Some of that will be rubber because the best of those Dunlop tyres has been used.
Absolutely. And that was very close to wiping the fence coming out of 11. And again, very close to wiping the fence. Got the squirm sliding going on there. Mid-corner rear grip. Won't be perfect with those tyres now. And he was hard in the throttle and he was only good enough for a 10.3. So that's put him up to 5th.
Right, cooler off there, hit this lap, that's P5. Fastest is still Waters on 995.
So beautiful first sector. Gave away best part of a couple of tenths, 1.5 to 2 tenths in the middle sector, and giving away a pretty decent chunk in the third sector. Now, a bit of that will be the tapering of the tyre, but I made a gesture to you as you were calling it. It was sliding a lot in second gear coming out of the final corner as well, and that delays the car getting back to full wide open throttle, has an impact on the straight line speed. Obviously, Van Gies has just gone up in speed value again, so he's done a 10 flat near enough. 1 minute 10.0469. He's now only 9/100 slower than Cam Waters. Pretty intense back end of the session here. Beautiful conditions. Waters, Van Gisbergen and Reynolds. And Cam's the only one to bust into the 9s, and he'll be keen to redress the situation from Bathurst a couple of weeks ago, where he's got sadly a DNF against his name. Now, Holdsworth's done the best middle sector that we've seen of anybody out there in the Botlow car, number 5. Here's Whincup, car 888. What's Jamie got in store for us? 2 personal bests in sectors 1 and 2. He's currently on a 10.3. He's about to greet the flag. Is this a move? It is. Up the field. He's all but done the same time as Van Gisbergen. He's done a 1 minute 10.09 versus a 1 minute 10.04. That is crazy close. Holdsworth finished his lap on a 10.1.
Wow.
Very tight.
Super tight, isn't it? Waters, Van Gisbergen, Whincup, Reynolds, Holdsworth, Mostert, McLaughlin. So he goes back to 7th, McLaughlin. He'll be frustrated by that because repeated errors with the curb hops have impacted on him being able to put a lap together at the end. Pye, Courtney and Coulthard, that's the 10.
Big session. A little interruption with the water on the racetrack there as well, but 30 minutes of pure excitement, supercars style. At the end of it, the only guy that got into the 9s was Cam Waters, a 1 minute 9.9534 and 9/100ths of a second separating Cam from Shane Van Gisbergen, then Jamie Whincup. So the Red Bull duo very quick. Then Reynolds, Holdsworth, Mostert, McLaughlin, as you pointed out, Mark, followed by Pye and Courtney. And next in the queue, we had Heimgartner and Davison. Winterbottom, who was on the radio talking a bit about the way the car was behaving over the curbs. Percat, Di Pasquale with the new car. Hazelwood with the repaired car. Kelly, LeBrock, Stanaway and Slade. And our final page contains Macaulay Jones, who went up the escape road at turn 11 at one point. Gary Jacobson, who was one of the cars that was caught with the water and had the big slide. Golding, Di Silvestro and Brodie Kostecki is 25th in the field with a couple of seconds to find.
Chaz Mostert, he had those curb hops on that last lap. Mostert's lap was actually a 10 dead, Crompo. So that would have put him up with Van Gisbergen and Whincup. So he's looked fast all day, he and James Moffat. And that speed didn't really come to the fore at the end of that. He ended up 6th, but the car's a lot better than 6th. Murph?
Yeah, we'll get Shane Van Gisbergen in a second. He's just getting his helmet off GT. That was pretty comfortable out there, and it looked like I didn't see a new tyre go on 97 either.
No, didn't put a new tyre on. I mean, it was a used tyre that went on the end that was pretty good, but it definitely wasn't a new one. So, yeah, it's a good day. Good day. Cars, we've progressed with the car all day, and listening to the radio, sounds like feedback's pretty good from the car. So, yeah, we'll sleep well tonight.
You look very relaxed. We'll go and quickly grab SVG while he's just jumped out, mate. Pretty tidy.
Spokesperson for 97.
He's the, no, you're also a spokesperson. As I just said, didn't see a new tyre go on. You're pretty happy with and comfortable. Where was potentially any loss out there on that lap?
Well, we didn't have new tyres, but we didn't want to dip into the race set, so ran some we qualied on at Townsville, I think. But it was okay. Second lap, probably the tyre was gone, but I drove a bit better, and then just losing tyre at the end of the lap. So there's probably a little bit in tuning that up. Probably myself as well. First sector, I'm probably a bit gun shy in the first corner. I went down and watched in the practice too. It's bloody impressive, man, what these cars do, but it probably scared me. I didn't want to get back in there. So awesome what we do here.
You're not the bloke that we expect to hear that comment from. Well done.
Cam Waters, you've just topped that session in the Monster Energy car. You just said to me, though, there's a bit more in you and just some confidence around this place. Everybody's singing that song.
Yeah, well, we weren't really running the best tyre through the session, and we put a good tyre on, and it's all about, I think it's more in me, just trusting the car's going to do its job. And, yeah, it's a little bit more in it. It was a good lap. The car's pretty comfortable to drive. Cruz was really happy in his session, so, yeah, we're thereabouts.
And the amount of curb that you take around here dictates lap time. Where were you in the amount, or how hungry you were on those curbs?
I was pretty hungry, but I was safe as well, so I didn't flag any sensors, which was cool. But you got to be on the limit here every lap to be fast. And I think it was every run I had the mirror pushed in and asked the boys to pull it back out. So yeah, I don't know, might have to put a little spring on that to push that back out for tomorrow.
Drive by Braille. Thanks, mate.
Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Scott, by practice day is done. Summarise the day for us.
Car's straight. It's pretty quick. Yeah, I'm pretty happy. I think that we didn't run a green tyre then. I don't know if anyone did, but yeah, I think on a used tyre it's okay. It's so much fun. Like you come out now and you try and chat to the engineers. You try and do it calmly, but at the same time our heart's racing, hands are shaking. It's just, this place is unreal. And yeah, to come out of here today, clean car and a fast one means that tomorrow will hopefully be a good day.
Is that difficult to finish the day without having that run on a green tyre, not sort of having that confidence going into tomorrow?
No, not really. We put a better tyre on, and you can kind of start to feel what the balance is going to be like when you add more grip. Generally, our cars, supercars in general, you get a bit more rear grip and the front starts to struggle, but balance was pretty neutral then, so I think that we can go a little bit more aggressive and then put the green tyre on. Hopefully it'll be pretty competitive, but you know, we've been in the 10 all day, so if we can be around the top 5, top 8 tomorrow in qualifying, it'll be awesome, and nonetheless, just do a lap in the shootout would be good fun.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Scotty Mack, I know you've probably just had a good look at the timing board there and looked at the amount of hops that you got over those curbs there. Do you feel a placement issue for you with the car where you're putting it on the curbs or something else?
Just trying too hard. Yeah, just today's probably the day to have a crack and see where you can get, how much you can take and stuff. So I definitely found that. I think I had every lap. So yeah, it's just me just trying too hard. The car's really good, like really happy with it. But just yeah, just need to tone my driving down a little bit.
So the lap that you did get in there on your new tyre there, did you just be too conservative down the back chicane where you've been hopping?
Yeah. Well, no, it's just I didn't get the lap together. I think we actually did a way faster lap before that, so I think we're right there, which is the main thing.
Did the tyre go away on that one that you actually did?
Yeah, once I got going, it was just hot, and yeah, but it's all right. Like I just you try these things, and this track's so unique, and you know if you can take more curb, you know the faster you're gonna go around it. So my car can take it, which is nice. I just gotta limit the old driver, and we'll be all right.
It's a fine line. Well done. See you tomorrow.
Cheers.
Will Davison, just reading your body language there, mate. Other than a lack of lap speed, what's causing you some grief here at the minute?
No, just confused. Just confused, yeah. We just thought we were going good, and we're quite good on a used tyre, and then put a new tyre on, and just I knew on the warm-up lap it was horrible. So it was just I thought I was really comfortable where we were going with the car, and then obviously yeah, pretty important run there to get a read going into qualifying, and it certainly wasn't what I expected, but I'm sure there'll be a reason for it.
And what do you feel like the crux of your issue is when you said as soon as you go out? It's interesting, isn't it? You leave the pit lane, either switches on or it doesn't. What was the feeling you got?
Yeah, it's simple as that. Felt like I just had old tyres on. Like I'd just been using old tyres and there was quite high grip on those tyres. So I was really expecting a lot of grip and it just did not come up. So I gave it a second lap. It just absolutely had no grip at all. So, as we know, it's a tyre game and very, very small margins. So clearly we've had a bit of an issue there. So it's just frustrating, that's all.
And a green tyre run, mate. I didn't follow what went on at the end there, but it was definitely a green tyre quali run.
Green tyre on, but I went quicker on an old tyre. So there's no, I know why. I mean, I had a lot less grip on that tyre, so shouldn't have been the case. So we'll sort it out.
You're certainly wearing your heart on your sleeve there. We can read it all over you. Thanks, boys. I'll let you get back to trying to tune it up.
I'm just sneaking through into this garage here. There's plenty of action. There's not a lot of room in these garages, boys. Jade up, good job.
Is that you that got out of the bath before and just washed it all over the track?
Yeah, that was me.
Is that you?
That was where I was having my ice bath over there.
Nice. Yeah, thanks for that.
It was exciting, actually. We enjoyed your little oversteer moment.
I almost clouded the wall for the second round in a row in practice, but anyway, we got through.
Well, I'm glad you learned from the last time you did it. Looked all pretty good out there?
Yeah,